UNESCO Reggae, UNESCO Reggae, or that from the first batch of songs that he sent me while I was in Belgium. And I remember because I was working on that website, that Reggae Dollar Market website, .net. I was sitting in Ronnie's kitchen and freezing. You know, sometimes Ronnie you'd forget to pay his bills, so they'd cut off the fucking heating, you know. And I was like, Jesus Christ, was this? And it's getting cold in Belgium, and I'm like, my lord, listen, this is not easy. So next thing I know is I am now strengthening myself, and I jump in the shower and take cold shower and say, you know what, I'm gonna face it. So you have to be strong. Anyway, I digress. This track was one of the songs when I heard it while I was in this miserable state. It was a ska, upbeat and everything. And so the original original title for it was A Place in the Sun. So when you listen to it and say, got to find a place in the sun, it was really wishful thinking because I was fucking freezing, you know? Uh, but then I was gonna write it as a love song to my wife because we were going through troubles, you know, and we're still going through troubles, but we're gonna solve it. You know, we separated, about to divorce, but love remains. You know, what I mean, anytime you're gonna be together with somebody, love remains. And thinking back, I know that Ronnie was also going through stuff with his wife at the same time. So it started out being a love song, really, you know. I leveled the mountains, I'm on the sea. Da, 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 my darling, believe me, I'll do everything that not to you. Can't remember the lyrics. Got to find a place, baby, in the sun. Okay, so I came back and I'm thinking, great, now let me revisit this song and let me do it. And so when I was making the demos to send to Robert, because I'm thinking Rob wants to hear some music soon, otherwise I'm gonna be in trouble. So I got myself together and I went to the cinema next door here in Steelhouse, and I was working at night and I listened to that beat and I was like, okay, Place in the Sun. But then this thing had happened in the meantime. Reggae became listed as one of those intangible heritage, you know, for UNESCO. And I was like, okay, great. So it just hit me that I was going to make the song into UNESCO Reggae. But the question was, UNESCO Reggae, what you got for my people? I'm thinking, why? Yeah, because I'd also gone through the whole idea of writing to Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, and the Minister of Culture of Jamaica. Like, hey, and I came up with CIPR, Collective Intellectual Property Rights. That every Jamaican must get $1 million one-off payment as compensation for being part of the reggae story. You know, it's a Jamaican heritage thing. So with that type of status that reggae has, and because it generates 17 billion a year, you know, you got to give the people who came up with the music, you know, $1 million each, everybody as Jamaican collectively. So we're saying if you're Jamaican, half Jamaican, full Jamaican, quarter Jamaican, eighth Jamaican, it doesn't matter. You must have $1 million because you're Jamaican. You know, whether you're rich or poor, doesn't matter. Black or white, doesn't matter. Out of many, you're one. And I put all of that in the song, you know. And I think it's a very good way of looking at it because that's how we enact the basis for this whole reggae remedy and this whole movement that I have. All the small platforms for public participation that we have in this movement are based on land value taxation, and land value taxation basically says that, you know, we all own the land, so therefore whatever anybody makes out of the land, they've got to somehow pay back to the community for using the land. So whatever anybody makes out of reggae music now, they got to pay back to the original reggae music, because you got things like reggaeton, you got dubstep, you got all these different things that have come out of reggae. You got hip hop that came out of reggae as well. So that we'll have a hard time arguing for. But when it's like strictly reggae, just as reggae around the world, that's 17 billion a year that comes out of it. Where does it go to? Reggae did not come out of nowhere. It didn't just like appear like, hey, here I'm reggae, and everybody, it was fought down. People fought against it. You know, but at the same time, it was supported by the most unlikely people. So its story is very, very comprehensive, very varied. But it cannot be true that something that brings in 17 billion cannot get rid of the poverty that's in Jamaica. You know, when you think it's like 3 billion more than Jamaica's GDP. And so the song is really, it breaks my heart to watch the harder they come. And that reality, which also is depicted in rockers. But the good thing about rockers is, in the end, the people, they go on and raid the warehouse, and everybody gets something out of it. And that's the message, rather than, okay, the youth who dies because, of crime. So unity is strength, and UNESCO Reggae is about that. And would like people to support this album, because everything that we say in that song in UNESCO Reggae is really, it's really what we know our people want and need. It's what we're supposed to be doing. And my father is one of the founders of the United Nations. So United Nations is our organ. Reggae and United Nations goes together. So yeah, I'll talk forever about that until we get what we is rightfully ours through UNESCO Reggae.